Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. Today we have a special guest with us, Ken Collison, Chief Operating Officer of Ucore Rare Metals. Ucore can be traded as UCU on the Venture Exchange, and it can be traded as UURAF on the OTC. Thanks, Ken, for being here with us today.
Yeah, that's good.
Ken, you've been COO for 3 months now. I understand that you're making progress toward Ucore's PEA. Are you still on track for early April?
Yeah, we are. We've got several of the sections written up. We're reviewing several others, and so it looks like we'll be done sometime in the beginning of April.
Some people have voiced concern that the narrow vein dike structures of the ore at Bokan is problematic from a mining perspective, especially when establishing an appropriate mine rate. Is this a myth or is it a real concern?
No, this isn't a real concern. And people will see that when we release our the mining part of the PEA, which should be fairly shortly. Yes, the ore is in narrow veins, but there's a series of these veins, and so your mining widths are a lot bigger than what the vein is. The average width of the vein systems is 2.6 meters, and we're going to be mining down to about 1.5 meters. And it'll be long hole stoping, so very straightforward, conventional type of mining.
Ken, you mentioned in a previous press release, you guys mentioned about this ore sorting technology. Can you help us understand it? What is this X-ray technology and how that's going to help progress you guys towards this PEA?
Sure. This is pretty slick. Basically what it does is it replaces the old timer that used to hand cob the waste. When I was still going to school, we went on a tour of the Beaverdale silver mine in southern BC. And they had an elevated conveyor feeding crushed ore going by, and this old timer was standing there, and he just reached over and grab a piece of waste rock and throw it in the 10-ton truck parked below him. And that increased the grade going into the mill and decreased the tonnage. And essentially that's what this machine does. It replaces his eyes with an X-ray, and the X-ray x-rays each piece of rock as it goes up along the conveyor. It does rock between 2.5 inches and across down to 1/4 inch. And it x-rays each rock and says, look, it's ore or it's waste. The computer replaces the man's brain, and it remembers which piece of ore is which piece is waste. And then it goes off the end of the belt, and instead of picking it with its hand, there's a series of air jets. And if it's waste, it blows it on one side of the divider, and if it's ore, it lets it fall straight down on the other side of the divider. And so it's basically replacing the old timer. I saw this at a tungsten mine, in Austria. This technology started out to separate tin cans from plastic bottles in the recycling business, and then it got into the mining business. A lot of the diamond mines use it, and as I say, I saw it in a tungsten mine. We did it in a lab test work, and then we did it on a full-scale machine in Germany, and sent them 3 one-ton samples. And the results were great. Basically says we get 93 to 95% recovery, and we rejected 45% of the rock as waste. That has huge implications, both in your operating costs and your capital costs. So instead of building, well, just to pull some numbers out of the hat, instead of building a 1,000-ton-a-day mill, because that makes it for easy calculations, you're building a 550-ton-a-day mill. And the other interesting thing is we're going to have paste backfill in the mining method because the ore is worth quite a bit per ton, and so you don't want to leave pillars behind. So we'll be filling the mined-out stopes with paste backfill. The way it looks now, we could basically put all our tailings back underground as backfill. And that would be rather unique, and it makes this mine really interesting. So we're going to end up being a green mine for producing products for green energy, which is pretty cool.
And this really only works, this is unique to Bokan, is that correct, to the ore at Bokan?
Well, the reason it works good on Bokan is you've got these narrow veins of ore separated by barren waste. And so as you mine, 4 or 5 or 6 of these narrow veins in a mining block, it's either barren or it's ore. And so it's very clean. And it also, when you blast it, it breaks on the contact between the ore vein and the waste. And so the ore, when it goes through the machine, it's very, very clean and very obvious which ones are ore and which ones are waste. And that's why it works so well in this type of ore body.
Ken, you have a lot of experience being a mine engineer for decades. What made you come to take on such an at this stage of your career, come to the Ucore team to help develop Bokan Mountain?
Well, when I got contacted, one of the first things I do is look at the resource, because the three most important things about an ore body: the first is grade, second is grade, and third is grade. And when I say grade, I don't mean percents. I mean value per ton. I'm the engineer, so I look at, what's a ton of rock worth. And this ore body is very attractive that way. And the most gratifying thing I've ever done in my career, and I've done this a few times, is build a mine from scratch. And you go out there the first time, it's just bush. And to go back 2 or 3 years later and see a couple hundred people working there is really gratifying. And so that's basically the reason why. It's a really good ore body. It should be a mine, and I look forward to building a mine there. And it's very gratifying just to create a couple hundred jobs. So you've got 200 people, or however, whatever the number is, getting very well paid and supporting their families.
Well, thank you, Ken, for being here with us and helping us understand this process and as you guys progress towards your PEA.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff.